Let's talk about talk. Let's go deep. We all have something to share. KnolShare with Dr. Dave.
Righty. So, hello and welcome to the KnolShare with Dr. Dave podcast. I am Dr. Dave A. Cornelius, affectionately called Dr. Dave, and I am your host. Today, February 2nd, 2024, is the second day of Black History Month. And since I've been talking about getting to your mountaintop, I felt it appropriate to cite a few lines from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, I've been to the mountaintop. It was delivered on the night of April 3rd, 1968, at the Bishop Charles Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee, as a storm raged outside. Then the next day, he was fatally shot at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968. So here's the excerpt that I took from the speech, and it goes something like this. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop, and I don't mind. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go to the mountaintop, and I've looked over and I've seen the promised land, but I want you to know that we, as a people, will get to the promised land. And so I just pulled that out of the big speech that he gave before he died. And the promised land is the destination of the social innovator and the trailblazing entrepreneur. That's the thing that we pursue oftentimes. And so my guest today is Ronnie Cyrus-Jackson. Ronnie, welcome to the KnolShare with Dr. Dave podcast and Getting to the Mountaintop series.
Thank you. So glad to be here. And thank you for the invitation and entrusting me with your stage, Dr. Dave.
Of course. You know, I know you're a whirlwind of talent, author, speaker, coach, advocate, all the beautiful stuff, right? Yep.
Bless you.
But we like to start off with something, you know, fun and maybe we'll hear you chirp a little bit today. So what song or spoken word is inspiring you today? And if you have something, then I just want to know, would you be open to humming a few bars or reciting a few words of your inspiration?
Oh, that's funny. So, a song, yes, I do have a song in mind. I am not a singer. God did not give me that gift, and I'm okay with that. But I do have a song. It's an old song, and I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's Live Your Life by T.I., rapper T.I. and Rihanna. Yeah, so live your life. That's as good as it's gonna get for you in this singing. But the words that in that song that really resonate with me as I just go on this journey of entrepreneurship is, I'll read them, okay?
Right.
T.I. is rapping and he says, some move away to make a way, not move away because they afraid. I brought back to the hood and all you ever did is take away. And so when I think about those words, I think sometimes when we're thinking about trailblazing, when we think about creating new paths and new paradigms from where we've been and where we're going, sometimes I think there is a misjudgment that inappropriately happens, because what we all know is that growth requires us to move and change and evolve. And so that song, Rihanna and T.I., really resonated with me as I thought about our time together today.
Great. I just can't wait to see how you take that and shape it around some of the responses that you're going to have in our conversation today. Yeah. So what's really cool is that I'm not going to introduce you. I want you to give a 30-second elevator pitch about yourself, and the stage is yours.
Absolutely. So good day to all who are listening. We count it a privilege that you are here. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I am just Ronnie. When you see me, I am just Ronnie, the alphabet soup behind my name. Praise be to God for allowing that. But I really have been put in this earth to help others along their healing path. Ronnie Cyrus-Jackson. I am the founder and CEO of Authentic Transformations. And really what my life's work is it is to inspire hope, I model authenticity, and then I curate spaces for transformation to happen. And I do that through writing, I do that through speaking, and I do that through coaching, both group coaching and one-on-one coaching. The thing that all should know about me is I believe the foundation is honesty. And so if we are not ready to get honest, then I'm probably not the coach for you. I do also believe in healthy challenge. I believe in love and grace and truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. However, if we're not willing and brave and courageous enough to dig it up, are we really ready to heal? So that's what I do every single day. And it is an absolute pleasure and it's a joy to see the transformation that happens when others, when they're willing to become honest with themselves.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So let's talk about your business, right? So what inspired you to start your business, and how did your background influence like your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so great question. What inspired me to start my business of coaching? So I'm actually in phase 2 of my business, and that was a whole journey as well. But what actually prompted me is what I quickly realized when I became a young adult. So let me go back. I grew up in the foster care system. I was orphaned as a child, and I have experienced a lot of adverse childhood experiences. And so when I aged out of foster care, I was already a mother. I was a teenage mom, and there was no resources for me. So I was not a legal adult yet. I was 17 years old when I graduated high school. When I graduated high school, my daughter went to kindergarten. You do the math. I was a very young mom. So I couldn't get government assistance yet. But I had adult responsibilities. I mean, I was a whole mom. And so really at that point, I realized there's a gap. There's a very large gap between us who are orphaned or foster children, and then what resources is available. Of course, I navigated that terrain. It was rough. Unfortunately, I navigated human trafficking. I didn't realize it was human trafficking at the time. It was a means to an end for me. And so, working my way through that, a couple years later, graduating college and then getting married, what I realized was I was sick. I was toxic and I didn't like it. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so at that point, I did choose to go to counseling. And, I learned tools and techniques and modalities to deal with the complex post-traumatic stress that trauma brings to children who experience trauma. And so fast forward a couple years later, really God impressed upon my heart that representation is critical. It's critical in these healing spaces, especially for Black and brown girls who age out of the system. And what we know is, and also who have dealt with sexual abuse as I had. What we know is about 1 in 3, some studies say 1 in 4 girls are sexually abused in their childhood. And so I knew that I was going to church and was working with the youth, and there was a couple of girls who I resonated with. And so I began to mentor them. There was no curriculum out there for that. So I created a curriculum to help me to navigate the conversations that I wanted to have with them and to give them a roadmap. I didn't realize that was a whole business in itself until years later. I eventually created a nonprofit out of that. Now that's back in 2014. Fast forward all the way to today. Now I'm in phase 2 of my business. So from 2014 until last year, I was coaching and speaking, and then I published a book. It has become an Amazon bestseller. And I mean, that has just propelled me into the next phase of my business. So to answer your question, what really prompted me to become an entrepreneur? I wanted to fill a gap that I seen in the world, especially in our Black and brown community. And I wanted to bridge that gap with healthy resources. I desire to be the woman that I wished I had when I was growing up and healing initially from my traumas.
Should I just stop and not go any further?
No, please, let's keep going.
Oh my gosh, that was, yeah, yeah. I'm tearing up, but I'm going to hold it back. Can you share like a significant challenge you faced in your business and how you overcame it?
Yeah. So this is the part where when I say I model authenticity, because what I do believe is that we throw these buzzwords out sometimes. And what is that? What does that look like? How do you do that? Right. I think sometimes we take for granted that because we are of a certain age, we should know. But I just challenge that. I challenge all of us to challenge that thought. Never assume, because you don't know where people come from. And so that's why I want to model what authenticity looks like. So some people say this is a transparent moment. I call this a vulnerable moment. And I'm willing to share this.
Mm.
You asked the question of what significant challenges have I faced in business? The most significant challenge that I have faced in business is not knowing what I don't know and not understanding how to ask for help. Now, you have to understand my background, where when you ask for something, it usually came with a price, as an abused person. So we don't really ask for too much. We figure it out. We're just going to make it work. We'll figure it out. So in business, I quickly realized that collaborations and relationships were significant. Well, because I didn't trust people and I did not understand the power of the collaboration, I would just try to go it alone and make it happen and make it work. And guess what? I became very frustrated very quickly and I wanted to quit. It was challenging because I believe I could have gone a lot further, a lot faster had I asked for help earlier. And so when we say networking, I challenge that ideation as well. I don't believe in networking. I will also share too, in this vulnerable moment, I am actually on the spectrum. I navigate autism every single day. It's not a mental illness, and that's what we need to understand. There's no pill that will cure my cognitive arrangement that God chose to make up in my mind. It's just how I navigate life. And so when I think through what some people call it a disability, I call it a different ability. My brain functions a little differently. And then I put that with not trusting people. And then you put that on top of trying to do a new thing that you've never seen done before. And there's no mentors. Oh, it's exhausting. And so I know for sure when I think about the challenge of not being connected with other people, your business is going to fail. And so that was just, I had to get over myself. And I had to release ego, and I just had to start reaching out to every and anybody and just saying, hey, I'm starting a business. I'm trying to run a business. What do you know? Who can I talk to? And I just became desperate. And that is when the doors just began to open up for me. And God, he just started aligning people. But it wasn't until I was willing to admit that I needed help. So that has been the most significant challenge for me, is getting over myself and asking for help.
No, that's a big step, right? It's admitting that you need help and being open enough to ask for it. And I could see how it has allowed you to transition and move forward in your journey. So let's talk about balancing, your cultural identity and the demands of the business world. Because, I sometimes I think of this dual personality that sometimes we have to carry with ourselves. So talk a little bit about that.
So I believe in harmony. I don't know that my life has ever been in balance, and I don't know that it ever will be. However, there is harmony that I try to maintain between business and culture, and then who I am as a human, right? When I think about harmony and culture, one thing that comes to mind very quickly is sometimes your past will not allow you to be great. And because you have people who knew you, they knew the unevolved you, the chrysalis of you, they knew that girl, but you have evolved and grown so much since that tension in between. I believe we get to choose if we are going to allow people to minimize us, or are we going to continue to rise to the greatness of where we're going. Okay. And so that, I think, when you talk about culturally speaking, how do I manage that? I don't give attention to what's negative. And when I see people who have questions, I honestly embrace their questions. I make myself available, especially, people who've known me from my past. But when it comes to culturally where I'm going, well, what we know to be true, unfortunately, is the Black woman, which is pretty much who Black women, professional women, is who my clientele is. When they come to me and they say, well, I feel like an imposter, or I feel, then I really combat that with, let's talk through that and process that. Feelings are not facts. And just because we feel a way, that doesn't make it a reality. The reality is that when we're functioning in life, right? When we're functioning in life, we are expected to. We're expected to grow and change, especially professionally. We don't work so hard to get these degrees to stay the same. And so when there is environments that will not allow us to evolve, those are environments that we need to flee from. And so really that's how I balance and keep myself in harmony, is I do a gut check and say, hey, does this environment, or does this group of people or relationship, or this space, does it go against my core values? Does it align with where I am going? Or is it trying to keep me stagnant? Or is it trying to pull me backwards? And only I can choose that. Only I can judge that. And so culturally speaking, for us Black women, I am pro health. I am pro wellness. And so again, I model authenticity. And so I try my best to inspire hope and show other people this is what it looks like to be well. We don't have to live in drama. We don't. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does, and it's really, your answer is really what matters. I'm not here to judge. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're talking about harmony and harmonizing different aspects of your life, past and present, because we don't know what the future holds at this point in time. So I think that is so important. But along the journey, right? We also have these mentors who help us in our career. And how is that played in your career, having great mentors, and then how do you mentor others, right? Because we're giving back, we're getting something, receiving from mentorship, and we're also passing that on.
Yeah, absolutely. Mentors have been critical. Mentors for me have been they have acted in roles for me that I think are probably inappropriate, maybe for some people, but I have had mentors who have acted as a grandmother for me. They've acted as my sister, and sometimes even my mom. Mentors have really allowed me to experience a different woman than I had, in the past experienced. They have demonstrated for me what love looks like, what confidence looks like, and guess what? Accountability. Most importantly, my mentors have held me accountable to the goals that I state. And when I think about a mentor, I think about one who you are allowed to, two things. You're allowed to be vulnerable with them, but you also invite them to tell you truth. And so for me, mentors have been absolutely critical in giving me the exposure or connecting me to resources that I otherwise would not have been connected to. So that's how mentors have been impactful for me in my life. Now, when I think about mentoring, absolutely, I do have mentees right now, both in my sorority, and then I also have mentees at church. I have mentees in community. And I don't seek them out. They seek me out. But there's a condition with working with Miss Ronnie if I'm going to mentor, and the conditions are two. You see this theme of two with me, right? It's my favorite number. There's two conditions. Number one is that they are honest with me. And then number two is that they are willing to grow and change. And I know that because I hold them accountable. And so that's how I work with my mentees. And then when I have mentors, I really lean in on them for them to show me, teach me, coach me, and share with me. I mean, they're nuggets, they're gems that they have. So I agree, it does work too. Mentorship works both ways.
Oh, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, given your experiences in life, what advice do you give to young people, especially women of color, and who have gone through some of your challenges, about having the aspiration for entrepreneurship? Because one of the things is that what I'm observing and have observed over the years is that we tend to be consumers of many things, and oftentimes we're not putting enough energy into being innovators and entrepreneurs and really charting our own course. Right. So I would just love to hear, if I was like sitting in a room and you didn't know I was there, what kind of advice are you just passing out, handing out to people?
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret. I'll tell everybody that, and so I will say I don't give advice. I am not here to fix your life. However, I will share my experiences and ask questions. So I ask questions. Now, it takes you to pick up what I'm putting down. If you're listening to me, so listen intently to the questions. So the thing I would say when it comes to entrepreneurship, should I be asked? Because I also don't just impose or project my 2 cents onto people. I need to be invited into that space. I would say, number one, don't be a saver, be an investor. I don't save. My husband and I, we don't save, we invest. And why is that important? It's important because when we invest, we expect a return. And when you invest, whether it's your time, talent, your energies, your resources, your passions, your desires, when you're investing into relationships, there is a healthy accountability, and there's a healthy measure by which you make choices. When you're saving, you just throw it over there, or you just go hang out with that group of people, or join this or join. But what is your expectation of that? Of the save? I mean, what are you saving for? Usually you're saving because you have an intent to spend something later. Investing, I don't intend to spend my investment. I intend to receive a return. So something in return that will grow my investment. So that is the first thing I would say when it comes to thinking about entrepreneurship and charting a new course, especially if you've never done it before, is think about where you want your investment to be. The second thing I would say is, when I think about entrepreneurship, I would make the suggestion to sit in silence, to intentionally sit with yourself and see what comes up. I think that cultivating a growth mindset is a learned skill. It's a learned discipline. And when we are so anxious and busy and all over the place, you got your hands over here and your lips over there, and you're just too busy. How do you allow your mind to really cultivate the purpose and the ideas, the creativity, the innovation needed to create something brand new, like an entrepreneurial journey. So that's the two things. Think about, well, what is it that you're willing to invest in? And then number two, are you willing to sit with yourself? Or when was the last time you really sat with yourself? And in doing that, what came up for you? It's a discovery process.
I love that. I love it so much, in that you didn't save, but you invest because you're expecting a return
Yes.
on that investment. And I'm like, wow. I'm having knocking things out of the way, because I'm just having like, such goodness. I'm just digging it. I'm enjoying this conversation. But through mentorship, through giving direction, advice, modeling, how do you see your business impacting, your present community and beyond?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Dr. Dave, the first phase of my business was speaking, coaching, writing, all of that. Now that I've launched the second phase, I am beginning to curate spaces for Black and brown women to come and just be. So I've organized my first silent retreat. It will happen at the end of March 22nd and through the 24th, over the course of a weekend, where only 8 women will convene. And it's entitled, or our theme is Rest and Receive. So the second part of my business, where I see my business going, is I see myself as a philanthropist. Now follow me, okay? As a philanthropist and as a servant leader, I believe that it's my responsibility to give. It's my responsibility to remove hurdles or barriers from people reaching their greatest good. I believe that it is also my responsibility, to whom much is given, much is required. So it's my responsibility to give women exposure and tools for their toolkits. And so how I envision my business going from here on out is I envision myself franchising. Eventually, wow. I'm working on a building. It's a home, but I'm working on a building for like a retreat and spa center. And I envision myself expanding all across the globe, where Black and brown women have healthy spaces that's curated for them with their products, with decor that resonates with them, with, just as if they were walking into, their mother's house or their grandmother's house. Just the space. I think there's something very critical, again, I'll say, when it comes to environment is huge for our growth. And if we are planted, we can have all the right things around us, but if we are not planted in healthy soil, we're not going to flourish. And so I envision me being able to curate them spaces for women to flourish. And they leave with tools after they've spent time with me. That's the vision of where I'm going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the vision. And I think of an abundance mindset as opposed to growth. That's why I what I'm experiencing right now in this conversation. And being a great multiplier.
Yes.
Right? I do things in threes. I'm like old-fashioned, and I'm not as progressive as you are with 2 things.
Whatever.
So I figure 3 is what I use. So that's what I hear coming out of this conversation.
Yeah.
And so, what's the next peak that you're aiming to reach in your career right now?
Yeah. When I think about this question, this was challenging for me. I will tell you that I never envisioned me being here. And
Wow.
so, yes, like I really think like, wow, like, okay, I'm really in real life, right? In real life, I'm a best-selling author. Like in real life, I am being invited to national boards. Like in real life, I am having amazing speaking engagements as the keynote, not just the side in the workshop. No diss to that, because I've been there too, but as their keynote. So I never envisioned that I would even be here. And now thinking about, as we're looking for land and, to build a whole facility, I think the next thing I look forward to is the day that I can franchise, the day that I can move and entrust the business in other people's hands.
Mm.
That is what I really look forward to is gifting what I've worked so hard to create to someone else to duplicate it in their community, in their area, in their state, in their city. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think that will be my next pinnacle mountaintop experience when I'm there.
I can't wait to see it. I really can't. I'm so excited for you in terms of the journey that you've been on and you're still on currently. So, your story isn't just about, getting to your mountaintop, it's about building a whole mountain range for others to climb. Yeah, it's amazing. So any final aspiring or even inspiring words that you want to leave with our aspiring trailblazers and entrepreneurs?
Yeah. When I think about this journey of entrepreneurship, it just needs to be said, stop romanticizing it. And shame on you, and I'm going to call my colleagues out. Shame on us for giving social media the highlight reels about what's so grand about being an entrepreneur, flashing the tangible outcomes, but you don't give the story of how you cried at night, how you went in debt. At least that's my story. How the rejections that came in the beginning, how they were, they traumatized your soul. Like, the days when you felt like you weren't good enough, or sometimes I have felt like a fraud. And sometimes, quite frankly, it's like, I didn't even know how to articulate where I was even going. Like, can we as entrepreneurs do our future entrepreneurs a favor and love them well enough to tell the truth about this journey? It's hard. It's hard, and it's worth it, and it's necessary. And so if you go into a thing with the truth, at least you know the rules of the game and you know how to navigate it. But setting people up for failure as if, hey, in the next 30 days, you're going to make 6 figures. That's a lie from hell.
Yep.
It does not happen that way. I have been on this journey. It'll be 10 years this year. And I am just now starting to get my name out there and known. So it's been this long that it's taken. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody's story. Some people, they do go a lot faster. I'm just saying, for me, the point is, it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes patience, but understanding your why, understanding why you are doing what you're doing, and then allow your why to be the discipline that allows you to be consistent and working hard at whatever it is that you're trying to create, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, one decision at a time, and allowing your why to be greater than you. That's what I would leave with people. Mm-hmm.
I just, as we leave, this conversation and this story behind in the ether, and others get to listen to it. How do you want people to connect with you? Is
Yeah.
there, email, website? You talked about your book. Even how do you want people to connect with all of this goodness that you have going on here?
Yeah.
Why don't you share that with the audience as well?
Absolutely. So you can find me hanging out on socials on LinkedIn much of the time. I do go into Facebook. I try to do about once or twice a week, but I pretty much keep LinkedIn open. I interact in LinkedIn. It's almost like my text messaging on social media, if you will. So LinkedIn, this is the beauty. I'm the only Ronnie Cyrus-Jackson in the world. So Google me. And I will, yeah, I'm sure you'll find how to connect. I do have a website. It's under construction. Let me tell you, okay, this is another vulnerable moment. My marketing manager made me put a website up when I started getting invited to do speaking engagements and book tours. So it's a presence that's out there. I know I look young, but I'm closer to 50 than I am 20. And social media, I'm learning social media. And so this whole website thing, it's a team of 2 of us at this point. And so, yeah, it's under construction, but you can visit me there nonetheless. It's ronniecyrus-jackson.org. That is my website. So it will be changing, from time to time. Oh, lastly, my book.
Go ahead, go for it.
Yeah. So my book, I don't know if it'll show on the screen, but I'll hold it.
Put it under your chin, like maybe not. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. So this is my book, Unmasking the Hurt, a journey of healing with hope, authenticity, and transformation. You can find it on Amazon. I'm sure if you do just an Amazon search of either my name or the title, it'll pop right up for you. It's in a Kindle version, and it's also paperback version. And so, yeah, I am available to coach either in group settings or one-on-one coaching. And I also do speaking engagements. My favorite speaking engagements are fireside chat style engagements with small groups, but I'm happy to embrace large crowds as well.
All right. I'm going to make sure that everyone knows about this. And so in closing, I want to say thank you for tuning into the KnolShare with Dr. Dave podcast. And a real special thank you to Ronnie Cyrus-Jackson for giving so generously today. This is, this story is going to resonate and stick with me for some time. And I'm sure it will for others as well. So I want you to stay tuned, Trailblazers, because our next episode it's going to even take you even higher and higher. As I don't think we can get any higher than Ronnie, but we can always aspire for that, right?
Sure you can, because guess what? I am needing to go higher and higher. So I hope there's someone up there at the top for me.
I hear you. Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you for everyone who's listening. And if you got anything out of this, just fire back. Put some comments in LinkedIn. This video is going to be out there. Reach out to Ronnie and, go out and listen to the KnolShare with Dr. Dave podcast. That's available in Spotify, Audible, Apple, Google, and about 25 other channels. So wherever you get your podcasts, you can check out KnolShare with Dr. Dave. And with that, have a blessed day.
Be blessed.
Let's talk about talk. Let's go deep. We all have something to share. KnolShare with Dr. Dave.